Well, it's the beginning of a process here at the church, and the process is the annual rummage sale. Now, a lot of this stuff that's starting to pile up in our fellowship hall is stuff that we have found around the church, but it's also things that people have brought in. You've got books, you've got plants, you've got tarps, you've got a collection of many different things. One man's junk is another man's treasure. And people love rummage sales because they get to come and rummage. They get to come and dig through things and see if they can find that treasure that maybe someone else doesn't realize is a treasure. Maybe they can find that thing that they've been looking for all of this time. There's going to be more stuff coming in this week. In fact, they're going to be setting up on Friday, setting up the hall here so that they can get ready on Saturday to sell the stuff. And I think it's kind of appropriate that we have a rummage sale here on the last week before we enter Holy Week. In essence, the getting rid of all of our stuff before we experience the story of Jesus and his triumphant entry and his Last Supper, his crucifixion and his resurrection. I think it's quite appropriate that we're going to be going through the process of physically selling a whole bunch of stuff, getting rid of a lot of the stuff here in the building, and giving people an opportunity to get rid of the stuff in their lives too. And that's what we talked about today in worship. We talked about the stuff of our lives. We talked specifically about the concept of hopelessness. We talked about how many people find themselves hopeless. Now, maybe they're not addicted to drugs or alcoholics, but they just find themselves hopeless. Their perspective on life is such that they don't see the miraculous anymore. They explain away everything with the words luck and coincidence. We talked about the fact that hopelessness is something that can and will be cured by Jesus if you allow it. I guess it was a message that was preparing our hearts for doing exactly what the rummage sale is getting ready to do, and that's cleaning out our stuff. Kind of reaching into the heart and cleaning out all the gunk, getting rid of all the stuff. Not so that you can get rid of hopelessness, but that you can get down to it. Because see, there's a lot of people, and dare I say, maybe some of you who are watching and listening to this Hot Fudge Sunday right now, you find yourself hopeless. You don't find yourself hopeless because you're in financial straits. You don't find yourself hopeless because you're stuck in the never-ending cycle of addictions. You find yourself hopeless simply because you find yourself hopeless for whatever reason. And I pray that this Holy Week that's coming up will be a time for you to get real with God, because as we've said many times before, until you get real with God, God will never be real to you. And He can cure your hopelessness. He can give you that hope that comes through the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus. But it requires faith. It requires each one of us to be open to it. And maybe you haven't been open to anything for a very long time. And maybe it's time for you to get rid of some of your stuff, just like they have piled up around here for the rummage sale. Time for you to clean out your heart and clean out your life and allow the hope of Jesus Christ to come in. And here's to all the hopeless that are out there, the silent sufferers, the ones who on the outside look like they've got it all together, but on the inside, their heart kind of looks like this fellowship hall. Kind of cluttered with a whole bunch of stuff. Most of it really doesn't matter. So we pray that you will join us again for Palm Sunday next Sunday and through Holy Week. I pray that you have an opportunity to experience a Maundy, Thursday service or a Good Friday service, and that you find a good church for Easter so that you can celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, so you can celebrate the hope. You know, as we say all the time, may this week have a great you, and we'll see you next week for the beginning of Holy Week.